Hello and welcome to another episode of Earth911, Sustainability in Your Ear. I'm Mitch Ratcliffe, your host, and we are back with yet another innovator interview. We like to look into the ways that sustainable living is accomplished all over the country, and we're really fortunate to have Dorie Morales, who's the publisher of Green Living magazine in Scottsdale, Arizona, talk to us today about sustainable life in Arizona. Dorie, how are you? Welcome to the show.
Hi, Mitch. I'm great. Thank you so much for having me on the show. I love everything that Earth911 does, and we have, worked together in the past, and it's an honor to be on your show.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. Hey, first, tell us about Green Living. How long have you been publishing the magazine, and why the focus on sustainable living in Arizona specifically?
Definitely. Green Living magazine has been published since 2010, September of 2010. So we just had our just had our 10-year anniversary.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And we rebranded the magazine, and we did a new website and a new logo. And we were fortunate to partner with or to highlight Deepak Chopra, which had written articles for us previously. Mm-hmm. And so that's been pretty exciting. And why was Green Living born? I come with a magazine background in the multifamily industry, apartment magazines. Mm-hmm. And my former business partner, some people came to him with the idea of, why don't you start a magazine in Phoenix, a lifestyle magazine? And he said, what are you, crazy? There's like 500 lifestyle magazines in Arizona. And they said, well, what about a green lifestyle magazine? So he and I did our due diligence, and we found that there was nothing like it on the market. And we knew that, for the planet and what's going on in the world and future generations, that we need to educate and empower and inspire people to make eco-conscious choices for a healthy life and healthy planet.
Well, we certainly agree. And I think one of the interesting things about what's going on right now is that everybody, business and consumers, are all just at the start of this long journey. And so having this kind of information to help people make better decisions and simply to learn is critical. Now, Arizona, and I've lived in the desert myself, so it focuses your attention primarily on water. But what are the sustainability challenges that you see as unique to living in the desert?
Well, water is definitely huge, but then there's also forestry, because in northern Arizona you have tons of forests, and we've had a lot of fires. So you've got to look at thinning fires, as well as agriculture and growing our own food here. Obviously, Yuma has, produces the most lettuce around the world. So you've got to look at sustainable agriculture, as well as how else can you grow your own food. I personally have an aquaponics system in my home, and that type of farming uses less water. But heat resiliency and urban heat islands is a huge issue in Arizona, because last year we had more record heat days that we were over the 90s, and then we had we had a lot less days that the heat was under 90. So really looking at shade structures, canopies, and, putting canopies in cities, but also looking at areas in the valley that you've got Black communities and Hispanic communities where access to food and access to shade is a lot harder. And people here have died of heat exhaustion or are going to the hospital because of heat exhaustion. And then you also have to look at air quality, our pollution. Obviously, it's gone down quite a bit since COVID, but vehicles and transportation play a role in air quality and air pollution. So those are some of the issues that we face here, but also, looking at sustainable buildings, looking at parks and open systems. as well. And then also Arizona has a big transportation electrification program that they're that they're doing is really how to get more corporations and more cities involved in driving electric cars and electric fleets. And also what building codes can we put in place to have electric car charging stations within homes and businesses as well. There's been a few apartment communities. There's actually one that we worked with that every single apartment has an electric car charging station. And we also have a carless apartment community in Tempe that's called Cul-de-sac. So transportation's a big one, as well as air quality, water, and open spaces, and also wildlife, and being able to get water to wildlife are some of the key areas.
Well, that's a very comprehensive explanation. One of the things that you call that the ability to find and get into some shade. I don't think people who live outside of the high desert really understand how important that is. Now, you're getting a lot more what we would describe as extreme heat in your area. The rest of the country, as we're talking, happen to be experiencing a lot of extreme cold, also another facet of climate change. How have you seen the climate in Arizona change over the course of the last 20 or 30 years?
I've seen the climate change a lot by having more heat, and then we've also been experiencing more cold as well. It's been a lot colder here than it's been in a long time. But the heat continues to rise in Arizona. Forest fires and thinning of the forests as well, too.
Now, do you feel like Arizona has made progress in its water management? That's the other big area where, the Colorado River is reused so many times from where it arises before it reaches, or actually no longer reaches, the Pacific Ocean. How has the water Sonora situation in Arizona changed over the last 10, 20 years from your perspective?
Well, a lot of the rivers and the canals, we've seen the water decrease. And so they're definitely looking at ways that we can work within the city in what we can do to conserve water. There's an organization here called Water Use It Wisely that works with all the cities and what are the different things that you can do to conserve water. We also have Rio Nuevo Reimagined. We have the canals that CAP and SRP work with, and how can we really increase our water supply. And they've even they store water down in Tucson. So the Morrison Water Policy Institute at ASU is doing a lot of studies, as well as U of A, on what can we do to conserve water and, keep the Colorado River flowing.
Now, what kind of articles does Green Living provide to help people in your region address these challenges?
We have sustainability and business articles and conservation articles, as well as health and wellness, because I think that a lot of people forget to connect the dots between if you're trying to be a sustainable magazine or a sustainable city or a sustainable environment. If you don't have your health and wellness, then you don't have anything. So you really have to look at what you're putting in your body, what you're eating. Is it grass-fed? Is it grass-finished? Is it more plant-based? And then also look at the other different articles that we touch on are, what are the businesses that are doing business for good? What are their corporate social responsibility initiatives? What can you do in your home to be more sustainable? What local restaurants can you eat at? What's trending in the food industry? What local products or sustainable products can you use? What's happening in the Valley? What events are happening, as well as technology, and looking at local business leaders and what they're doing to champion their sustainability initiatives as well. And then we have gardening and a few other lifestyle articles as well that we feature in the magazine on a monthly basis.
Now, you've also done a lot of events over the years. What were you doing prior to the pandemic, and how has your event experience changed as a result of the pandemic?
Prior to the pandemic, we were doing events on a monthly basis, sometimes on a bi-monthly basis, and our revenue, 33% of our revenue was from events, and we would do events anything from partnering with ASU and the Global Institute of Sustainability and what they're doing to working with architecture firms to sustainable fashion and doing a sustainable upcycled fashion design challenge to working with September's Drive Electric National Week. And we worked with ASU and APS and Nikola and some of the major employers in Arizona to talk about what is the state of Arizona doing in autonomous driving and electric vehicles, because we've got 2 electric car manufacturers here that are going to be manufacturing electric cars in Coolidge. That's Nikola and Lucid Technologies. So we've done events from education on a business level to networking events to even showing fashion movies or ocean movies, anything like that. And then we've even had poetry readings. So anything from business to lifestyle to poetry.
That's great. Now, what are you doing now that there is everybody's working and living remotely?
We have been doing Facebook Lives and we've been doing Instagram Lives. We're looking at doing some webinars, and we're looking at partnering with a few different organizations on doing something for Earth Day, because Earth Day is obviously our biggest holiday. And we have a sustainable travel section in our magazine, and I've brought in a new account rep that has 25 years in travel and in the travel industry. So we're looking at some of her relationships where people have had to pivot. They've been in the travel and wellness industry, and they were doing retreats going to China and India, but now they are putting online events where we're talking about wellness in your home. So one event that we're looking at doing in March is working with wellness, the wellness retreat at home, and then also working with an eco-friendly interior designer and another travel agency, and talking about how we can be mindful in our home and try to have the same experience as when you were traveling to China. So we're really excited about that event.
That sounds like fun. Now, one of the events I noticed that you have coming up is with the Arizona Green Chamber. The Green Chamber of Commerce. How do you see the business community down in Arizona responding to climate change?
We partner with the Arizona Green Chamber. I was a former board member of the Green Chamber, and we love to promote what they're doing through the magazine and get more engagement to connect the dots between sustainable, eco-conscious living and green businesses. But what we're seeing is a lot of businesses are really looking at sustainability, putting in sustainable development goals. The city of Phoenix has a 2050 sustainability climate neutral plan. APS, which is one of the largest utilities in Arizona, they've got a carbon neutral sustainability plan, as well as REI has a major warehouse here that the whole building is completely sustainable, and it's a LEED certified building, and everything that they did when they created that building, looking at all different types of energy. But there's also the whole social and diversity and inclusion, which is hits in the sustainability realm as well, that a lot of large corporations like APS are looking at is how do we be more social, how do we bring corporate social responsibility into our employee engagement as well.
So can anybody join these events online, or is it limited to subscribers only?
Anybody can join the Green Living events, as well as the Green Chamber. All they have to do is go online and click in.
And that, of course, is at greenlivingmag.com. Now, Dorie, how did you get involved with sustainability? What woke you up to the fact that we needed to address this as a society?
It was just, it goes back to, I was fortunate, when I was born in Pennsylvania, but then I lived in New Jersey, and my dad had an acre garden, and I loved going out to the garden and seeing all the fresh fruits and vegetables that we could eat, and then looking at the changing of the leaves and the fall colors and different things like that. And then I also rode horses. And when I was in high school, I was blessed to be able to go to France to be a foreign exchange student. And I went with my girlfriend, and she clicked rural on her application, or she clicked metropolitan on her application. I clicked rural by mistake. So she was up in Bordeaux, drinking wine, boating, having the time of her life. And I wound up in a little village in Espelette in the south of France, right across from the border of Spain. And I was milking cows. I was milking goats. I was learning how to live off the land. I saw the birth of a baby cow, and it completely changed my life. And I became a vegetarian after that. And what was really amazing is 30 years later, I went back to France and connected with my family that I had lived with. Mm-hmm. And here they are doing all organic farming and all organic agriculture. They had a little store within the city, and I walk in and they have a French Green Living magazine. And I said, "You changed my life 30 years ago. And isn't it crazy that here I am producing a Green Living magazine in Arizona, and you are doing everything you can to fight the good fight and with agriculture and living and preserving the earth in France 30 years later." So it completely transformed my life.
Our encounters with nature and with our interactions with nature do definitely change us. It's a fascinating story. As you look back over how America in particular, and particularly the Southwest, have evolved as in its thinking about its relationship to nature, what do you think are the most important lessons everybody should take away from interacting, whether it's at the park or out in the wilderness, with nature?
I think one thing that I've learned, and I think is really important, is with all the technology and electric fields and electromagnetic fields that there's something called earthing, where you can go outside in your backyard and you can put your feet in grass and just connect with the earth and how wonderful it is. And then look at going hiking within Arizona and connecting with nature, especially with everything that's going on with COVID, and looking at wildlife and how can we preserve wildlife? How can we preserve ocean species as well? And, look out for what we're consuming and making sure that we can reduce our waste in plastic and switch to different forms, using glass or aluminum instead of plastic, so it's not winding up in our ocean and hurting our marine life as well as our birds. And I think people forget, the fact that not only plastic's going into our oceans, but it's also all of our birds are absorbing it as well. And when you see a little bird and it gets its stomach pumped and you see all of this plastic coming out of it, it's very sad.
Yeah, so always keep in mind. Let's hope we can reduce our plastic waste. How can folks get involved with green living, whether they're in Arizona or not, but particularly if they're in Arizona?
People can get involved with Green Living by going to greenlivingmag.com. They can also follow us on all social media platforms, and our handle is greenlivingaz.com, or Green Living. Our handle on Facebook and Instagram is greenlivingaz.
Great. Well, hey, Dorie, I want to thank you for joining us and talking today.
Thank you so much, Mitch. It was great to connect with you.
Well, we're looking forward to doing some collaboration with Green Livings. We'll be talking soon. Folks, that was Dorie Morales. She's the publisher of Green Living magazine. It's in Scottsdale, Arizona. You can find it online at greenlivingmag.com. It's all one word, greenlivingmag.com. And check them out on Facebook and Instagram as well. This is Earth 911, Sustainability in Your Ear, and I'm Mitch Ratcliffe. We'll be back with another interview soon. In the meantime, folks, take care of yourselves, take care of one another, and let's all take care of the planet.